Welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast with Jared Kirk and Matt Milbauer. I'm Matt, as always, here with my co-host Jared. Jared, how's it going?
It's going great, Matt.
Yeah. We have a guest today, Jeff Lusk. Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, it's good to have you. You and I have been chatting kind of off and on about probably mainly cockers, really, but and I'm glad to get you on here. Why don't you go ahead and kind of introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so my name is Jeff Lusk. I live in the Pacific Northwest, the west side of Washington State. I got my first cocker back in 2019, I'd say. And I found a nice little training group and I went out with the training group and I was like, you know what? I said, I think I need another one. So I quickly bought a second one, which has led to I currently have six right now and moving a couple and getting a couple more. I'm totally enamored with the spaniels and the cockers in general. So it's kind of taken me down a path in the last 5, 6 years. It's been pretty fun.
Yeah, that's great. So, how did you originally kind of get into bird dogs or upland hunting, or what was your entry point into that world?
Yeah, so I bought my first lab. I was a junior in high school. I think I was 16 at the time. And I was saving up some money and I'd always, grab the newspapers back when there was newspapers delivered to everybody and you could go through the want ads and there was always the section of, dogs for sale and I'd look every day. Every week I was sitting there looking and I finally found one, AKC registered labs, yellow and black, and I convinced my dad that I had saved up. I think it was like 300 or 400 bucks at the time to take me out. And we looked at them, and I bought my first yellow lab, which led me to diving through everything I could get my hands on at the library back then, about dog training. And we've got a local sports show here in Puyallup that was, I want to say, probably like the week after I got my first dog. And I just remember going there and I just grabbed business cards from everybody that, was into dog training. And I called them and, I was a kid in high school and I was like, how much to charge? How much do you charge? And this guy was 30 bucks an hour and this guy was 50 bucks and blah, blah, blah. And then I finally called someone. They were like, come out and throw birds and we'll throw birds for you. And I was like, yep, this is the place I'm going. So, that kind of just led to getting into training gun dogs with them, for fun after work or after school for me, and ran some hunt tests, which allowed me to get a dog that was, picking up birds, force fetched, reliable enough to take duck hunting. And at least back then, when I would go duck hunting, we'd go shoot ducks, and we'd come back to the camp, and I'd go out and walk, and I'd see if I could find a pheasant or a quail, and it just kind of like was the offset. I upland hunting was fun, but it wasn't like the priority at that time because I had labs, so I did the lab thing for a while. I don't know, probably a good 10 years, here and there. When my old one passed away, I didn't buy another lab for a bit, and I had a setter, but then it was like I went hunting with a buddy. He was like, "Hey, you want to come quail hunt with me?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I went out quail hunting with him, and I was like, "Man, I need another dog." And the wife at the time was talking about trying to get a lap dog. So I just researched like the smallest hunting dog I could find, and that led me to cockers. And I bought one totally on a whim from a place in Oregon, a ranch. And I showed up and I just pointed to the one that I thought was the cutest and the smallest because she wanted a small lap dog. And I took her home and she's been awesome. She's been such a great little hunting dog. Killed a ton of pheasant over her, ducks, geese, quail, grouse, sharptail, chucker. I mean, she's been a lot of fun, and that sparked the whole spaniel thing for me. And I don't know how people feel out there. Like I was always enjoying training labs, but when I bought my first cocker, I for the first time, like with a gun dog, I felt like this was my breed of dog for me. It fit me perfect. I don't know what it is, but it just seems to be they fit how I want to hunt and they fit how I want to train. So I love it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so like, how did that go with the wife with the lap dog? Like, I don't. I mean, I know they're smaller, but I don't think of cockers as lap dogs. So like, how did that end up going over?
Oh, she knew that I was scheming the whole time. It was because she had a little Chihuahua at the time. So I actually told her I was going hunting, and I took my setter with me, and we went and picked up this puppy, and I brought it home, and I tossed it to her, and I was like, here's our new dog, and she's she's actually really good in the house. She's not what I would consider like a high energy cocker. She's a great hunting dog, but I would say she's like lower level energy, especially for a house dog.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. That probably made it a little easier transition then to the Spaniels, which can be a handful sometimes, depending on the dog.
Yeah, they're little dogs with ADHD, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Jerry, did you have a question?
Uh, yeah, I was gonna so you hunt in Western Washington, so obviously me and Matt are Eastern Washington guys. Um, what's it like hunting in Western Washington? Like I have like my thoughts on it because I've heard of what people hunt over there and stuff like that, but what do you guys actually do over there?
The only thing I actually hunt on the west side would be ducks and geese. Everything else I do is on the east side. Even when I go grouse hunting, I try to cross the Cascades before I even hunt grouse. So everything you guys are doing over there, I don't really go towards your where you guys live, but all my upland hunting is on the east side still. So
Gotcha. You don't hit any of the like the pheasant release places on the west side at all?
never. I dude, I hate seeing people in a parking lot. Like if I see a car, I get pissed off and go somewhere else.
That's same.
Yeah.
Absolutely the
I've
same.
had people pull up on me, and I hope people listen to this. If you pull up to a parking lot and you see somebody else like there with their dogs about to go hunting, just go somewhere else. Like I know it's public land and it's huge and all that, but I don't know, man. It's just there's something about it. Unless it's a huge area, that's a different story. But uh, I've had people pull up on me and like try to just jump out in front of me and get to a spot before me, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like it's not worth it. Just we're all here to have fun.
Yeah, I always it'd be hard to define to like a new hunter. But like I know what you're saying. Like there's some spots that are public land that are huge, and there's obviously like a developed parking lot, and like it's there for a lot of vehicles, a lot of hunters, and it can hold that many people, and people can still kind of be on their own for the most part, really not run into other hunters very much. But then other spots, yeah, it's like I know when I see a vehicle at a spot, some of these spots I'm thinking of that are smaller or kind of like a feel free to hunt kind of spot, which in Washington State for our listeners is the state like private land that's open up and for hunters to hunt. But anyhow, like I just know like oh someone's already there, I'm not going to go there. But other spots I know like oh it's fine, you can have a bunch of people on this land, and I'm not sure if that has to just come from experience, I guess. But like if I was trying to write like a rule to follow for someone new, I'm not sure I could verbalize it very well for them to follow. Like it's not acreage size, it's not cover, it's like it's kind of all of the above, I think.
Yeah, I feel like if you're taking over somebody's space, like if you can go different directions, perfect, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
a lot of ground that we have in Washington, there are some huge pieces that you could go, you know, two or three different directions and never see each other that day, which is great. And I'm fine with that. And I like seeing people out there. I probably sound like a little mean right there, but I enjoy seeing people and their dogs out there. Like when we do cross paths, I'm always like I like to talk to them and ask them how they've been doing and see their
Hmm.
dogs and just interact and introduce myself. So
Yeah, but there's definitely spots where it's like there's room for one hunter or one like group of hunters, like either like
yeah,
don't walk right behind them where they just went or right next to them when you're really both essentially in the same party at that point.
yep, for
I
sure.
guess Jared, we and I kind of that opening day we ran across Sterling, who we talked about on the podcast, and it's just I don't know if it was his first pheasant hunt, but he was kind of an inexperienced pheasant hunter. He's more of a archery hunter, and we just said, "Hey, we're at the same spot here, opening day. We have a couple spaniels. I don't think you have a dog. Do you want to hunt together?" Then we became hunting partners the rest of the day, and that was great. So there's opportunities too. But yeah, I get what you're saying, Jeff. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, very cool. So, kind of on the maybe you just answered this, but with upland hunting, there's a lot of a lot of different types of folks out there, and people different ways people do it, and different traditions and rules. If there was one thing about upland hunting that you could wave a magic wand and change, what would it be?
Oh, to change about upland hunting.
Yeah, if you could be
Um,
like the God King for a day and change make a new rule for everyone or get rid of a rule or a tradition or a habit you see out there.
you know, I don't know if this would be a rule or not, but I think the one thing that I cherish most about upland hunting is that like killing a bird is not like it doesn't write my day as success or not. Like being out there with my dogs, watching them work, being a team together, and obviously producing birds for for to be shot at is amazing. But if people could just go out there and enjoy their dogs and not have to go home and say I only killed one quail today or I only got a shot at one pheasant but I didn't kill it, like who cares, right? It to me it's all about being out there with your dogs and enjoying that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. There is that perception, right? Like I guess as people we kind of we want to achieve a goal. It's kind of how humans seem to be built. And
Yeah.
the goal is like is a very obvious goal. If you got into upland hunting or hunting at all, you'd be like, oh yeah, to get the animal. Like that's obviously the goal, but like for a lot of us it's not. And sometimes that can cloud your day.
No, and I've seen some people post online, like I'm new into hunting. I've been out, the past 2 or 3 weekends and I haven't killed a bird. And in my heart, I'm like, who cares? Like
Yeah.
go to a fourth spot, go to a fifth spot, go to a sixth spot. Like if you're enjoying it and your dog's having fun, like the birds will show up at some point, whether it's you're just picking the wrong spots or you haven't gone far enough or
Cool.
whatever it is, like just it's not like duck hunting. Like if I go duck hunting, I want to kill ducks. I don't know why,
uh,
but when it comes to upland hunting, like I mean, there's days where I've gone out and I just have like one perfect contact. You get to watch the dog make an incredible find, track out a rooster, put it up, and you shoot it and kill it. And I'm like, dude, I'm done. Like I nothing else could make my day better at this point.
Yeah.
yeah, it's true. Maybe that's why I'm like I've grown up. I feel like I've grown out of waterfowl hunting because maybe you kind of put a finger on it there. It's more it's more about the killing. Like there's I don't know how to put words to it. Maybe it's because you're in a blind, and you're in
Yeah.
one
You
spot and you're very focused on like, all right, birds are coming in. We want to get these birds. Like everything's geared towards that. But there's a lot of times while I'm upland hunting where I'm just enjoying the outdoors with my dog. And if a bird doesn't get up and it's a beautiful day and I'm seeing cool things, like I'm not upset.
Yep,
If I was in a
100%.
100%.
blind all day and never saw a duck, I'd be kind of upset.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. After like the first like 15 minutes of being in a blind, you're just kind of like, all right, well, I've seen pretty much everything I can see right now. And now I just need to get birds in.
Yeah. Because there definitely is a difference between the two types, like and how they feel, right?
Hmm.
And maybe you kind of got a finger on it there, Jeff.
That's
I can always blame my dog if we don't kill a bird, right?
True.
it's true. That's very true.
And kind of what you're saying too about like the new hunter who has been out a handful of times and hasn't seen a bird yet. And I see people post that on, Facebook groups and forums as well. And it's like to your point, you're having fun, but like you're also learning all the ways not to find a bird.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of trial and error. Like, okay, I walked through this kind of cover. I never see anything. Let me try this over here. I went to this place, never saw anything, or all the different things that people who are more experienced kind of take for granted of what to look
Hmm.
for. Like I when Jared and I are out in the field, I'm sure you're the same way, Jeff. I'm not really have to think that hard about where to go. It's kind of natural at this point. I just know it's become innate
Yeah.
of how to hunt cover and whatnot. I don't have to think about it too hard. But for someone new, that's how they're going to learn, and that almost sounds kind of fun.
I typically hunt the same kind of stuff most often, and then every once in a while I'll try something different, and I'm just like, and my dog like big open sagebrush, for instance. And I know pheasants
Mhm.
sit in there, but they run like crazy in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but every once in a while, I'm just going to walk the sage. And then you'll just be like, oh, there's some tracks. And then you pick up a bird and you're like, man, I never would have hunted this. It, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just probably my dog type more than anything.
Could
I,
be.
you know,
Yeah.
cockers aren't really meant to go range out in the sagebrush to find birds. So I typically stick to like thicker, nastier, heavy cover. So
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah,
gotta
well,
like.
Jared, you and I were at a spot without hot spot this year, and we were walking through some sagebrush like that, which normally wouldn't do. We wanted to kind of cut across it to get to another area, and we're cutting across it with two or maybe three, I think two spaniels down,
Mm-hmm.
and and we flushed like three hen pheasants. And in my head, I know like there's a
Oh
rooster
yeah.
that ran away, right? At
Yeah.
least one, but like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I never would have walked through here on purpose outside of just trying to get across it, but um, all the areas of this fairly popular public hunting spot were already kind of hit, right? So we hit the spots that looked good, but so did everyone else already. It was kind of a little later in the season, and they were pushed into the sagebrush. So that's interesting. Yeah, obviously a pointing dog might be a better option in that sagebrush than springers and cockers, but I guess got what we have.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Gotta run what you brung.
Yeah.
Uh, so with going back to I guess cockers and stuff like that and running what you brung, what so anyone that's looking to get a cocker for the first time, do you have any advice for any of those people?
uh, you know, the cocker world's pretty small. There's the people that are importing dogs over from England.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a lot of English lines in America right now. Um, and then there's obviously it's a small field trial community of people out field trialing. And then you kind of go down south, and there's a lot of people on the plantations. A lot of those guys are, this is a super generalization, so I don't want people to say anything about what I say, but a lot of those people are hunting with pointing dogs and
Mm-hmm.
using the cockers to go flush.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They could be the best dogs in the world. I don't know. Personally, I, unless they're out hunting them on their own, I would like to see that. And I know there's some phenomenal dogs sitting on buggies doing that. But I personally like to go look for dogs that are field trialing,
Mm-hmm.
preferably field trial guys that are hunting as well. Because I think you can find dogs that are really nice and flashy, but might, miss a little bit of the heart situation. And then you get some of
Mm-hmm.
these nice hunting dogs that are, steady Eddie, but they've got tons of heart. So I think if you could find someone out there that's into cockers, reach out to them, ask them to give you some suggestions. There's a few people that are breeding quite a few um, litters, and they're producing a lot of nice dogs. So that's what I would do. Reach out
Yeah.
to me if you guys want. I'll steer you the right way, hopefully.
There you go.
Sweet.
So kind of going into that, because I have seen like the guys that run pointers and then have like the cockers as kind of like a, I guess once the dog's pointed, they flush it and then retrieve it. Do you think that's kind of like almost not again, no, I'm not saying anything, but like do you think that's almost like doing a disservice to the dog? Um, because it's almost like it's only doing like half of its job that it's supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I want to say no and yes at the same time, but here's what I always go back to. Like, is that dog having fun?
True.
It's probably having the time of its life. I mean,
Yeah.
truthfully, it's riding around on a buggy getting pet by, Harry, Tom, and Susan, and they roll up, and every time he jumps off the buggy, he's flushing 20 quail, and he gets to go retrieve them, and they just hop on the buggy and get loved up on again. Like, that's a pretty good life. So
Yeah,
who am
that's
I to say that's not a good life for them?
a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wondered that too, Jared. I always think that, but yeah, like, yeah, to your point, Jeff, they're having a great time.
Yeah.
But to your earlier point, is that the dog I want hunting out west out when that's my only dog or my only breed? Like there's this
Yeah.
thing where like you think of a German short hair, it's kind of a comparison. They they all have dock tails, right? And they dock their tails at what day or two old. when's the last time you saw a German short hair in America without a dock tail? Like I haven't. So who knows what those tails look like now because they're not breeding for a straight tail anymore, or maybe they weren't never were like a point or a setter might be. Those tails could be curly and they got bred that way accidentally, but you never know because you cut it off. So those cockers down doing that, like maybe the finding of the bird, the initial part of what the dog's job is before the bird is found, um, if that's not being super paid attention to in the breeding of those dogs, like what's there, I don't know. It's probably fine. It could probably find birds just fine, right? But like it's not 100%. Like you're kind of, well, it's never 100%, but you're kind of not don't have the dice as loaded as you could if you're looking at those field trial dogs, like you were saying. Is that kind of what you're trying to say,
Yeah,
Jeff?
yeah, absolutely. It's, I can't say that they're the best or they're not unless they're not, I guess I call it horses for courses, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
using a cocker for something different than they are. I'm probably not going to reach out to them and say, I know your dogs can do what I want them to do, so I want to buy one. I would go the field trial route and, prefer to do it that way. So,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I think we kind of talked about this with Josh Riddle on his last time he was on the show. But why? This is a loaded question. Maybe this is a good softball for you, but um, why cockers instead of say a Springer? With a Springer, I'm just going to say some things that maybe will ruffle your feathers, but we'll just I'm trying to get the perspective of maybe the difference when Springers might be a bigger, faster dog. Like, what is it about the cocker to you that keeps you inside of that breed?
so I do agree that in general, Springers are bigger, stronger, faster. If you put them up against each other 9 times out of 10, a Springer is going to run bigger and harder and faster, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
At least where I hunt, I don't think you need that. Even hunting in general, I don't think you need a bigger, stronger, faster dog. Um, so whether it's a Springer or a Cocker, I want a bird finder. What
Mm-hmm.
I do love about the Cockers is they're like little characters, man. There's something about them. Like a Springer's kind of like I'm really good at my job, and I do it, and I will do what you want me to, and you know, there's no like funny play. There's no like what the heck are you doing, man? Like why'd you do that? So
Yeah.
with Cockers, it's like I constantly I'll take some people hunting that have never hunted over a cocker, and like I'll just sit back and I'll watch, and they're always smiling. They're like, dude, those are so fun to watch. They're just I call them little bird piranhas. There's in and out, and they zip around super fast, and cover is not an issue with them. They're super gritty. I think for a little dog. I don't have one that weighs over 30 pounds. They're 20 to 30 pounds, all of mine. So I would say their character keeps me coming back to them by far. And you know what? I'm not a color guy, but Springers have two boring colors and Cockers come in everything.
That is true. You could get anything. Like if you like the golden look, you could find that. If you like
Yeah.
that kind of Springer look, you could find that and everything in between.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, for the cocker I had for a short time, yeah, the personality is off, like just off the wall. At least in my one example, it's it's pretty like you just like, they could be getting in trouble, but you're smiling and laughing, watching them do it. Yeah, they're funny little dogs. So yeah, I get that. I definitely at some point want another. I've said this many times, but want another cocker at some point. I have plenty of Springers too, but to your point, I feel like I found my breed. I too was thought labs are my breed for a while, and kind of similar to you as well. My wife was like, "You should get a cocker. They're smaller. Those big labs with the big tails in my house. I don't know if I want that." And I was like, "Sure, I'll get a cocker." And then ended up with Springers, but yeah, it definitely feels like my breed, at least the spaniel world for sure.
Yeah, I'm not against Springers. I guess I'm just all in on Cockers right now.
Nothing wrong
It's
with that.
yeah.
No.
I had a Springer for a brief minute, and there's just I was missing something emotionally with it. And I called a buddy and I'm like, hey, I know you want to get a new dog. What do you think? And he's like, yeah. So I was like, come get her, man. We'll co-own her together. I'll just give her to you and we'll hunt her and see how she turns out. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
Every Go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead, Jared.
No, every time we talk about like cockers and stuff like that and their personalities and stuff, I still think Josh gave me a cocker spaniel. Uh, I know he's the color of a Springer. I get that, but he is 30 pounds. But he's constantly like he just has that goofy. Just he's just a goofy dog.
He's on that end of the spectrum of Springers for sure. Like toward he's got energy, he's got personality. Yeah, I know what
Yeah,
you're saying, Jared.
I love that dumb dog. But yeah,
He's got
you're being
energy.
blessed with cocker personality.
it's yes,
Right.
yeah. I'll take it. Good stuff. All right. So I guess next big question is because everyone's gonna want to know what kind of gear do you run? What's your shotgun? What's your all that fun stuff? Everyone has to know about.
Yeah, I mean, I run a 12 gauge Beretta Silver Pigeon. I beat the living bejeebas out of it, and I duck hunt with it. I goose hunt with it. I row my kayak with it,
Nice.
which is awful. But yeah, I shot that gun for the last I don't know, probably 6, 7 years now. I train with it every time I'm out training, shooting pigeons or game birds if I've got them. Um, as far as like a vest, I run a Final Rise, which you guys probably all have heard of Final Rise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Matt Davis is one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. Just straight G, dude. He's a hardcore guy, and I love it. I love that I'm supporting somebody who's truly into hunting, not just making a hunting product, and I really
Mm-hmm.
appreciate
Yeah.
that about Matt. So, he's out there testing his own gear harder than anybody out there. So, um, that I appreciate, and that vest has been pretty sweet for me. I originally wanted to get the original Wingworks, but that was such a backlog to get one, and
Mm-hmm.
they were
Exactly.
bulletproof. But uh, with Matt coming out with that, it was pretty nice. So other than that, just whatever boots I'm going through for the year, and know I typically wear a flannel if that's important to people. I don't know why. Just going
It
through
feels
Russian olives, it feels just
yeah,
right. I
it
don't know.
does. I have
Yeah,
one too. I wear a lot.
but yeah, that's about it. Anything else? Shotgun shells, I
Shells.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I shoot the same 2 3/4 Boss number fives at everything. So that's ducks, pheasant, quail. I don't have to think. I just reach my pocket and it's the same shell every time. So
Is it
but
12 or 20?
12 gauge. Yeah.
12
I
gauge.
have a 20, but I don't shoot it as well. I don't know if it's the fitment on it or what, but when I pull up and pull the trigger, it seems to not drop the birds as often. So I leave it at home.
So how do you
Yeah.
choke your gun with the boss? Because I've ran into this problem shooting boss where I think my chokes are way too tight for it.
Yeah, I shoot an improved cylinder on my bottom barrel, and
Okay.
it's an improved modified on the top.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and when I shoot ducks, uh, I think I shoot two improved modifieds, is what I do. So I don't
Mm.
really go much tighter than that. I'm kind of a snob. I don't like shooting pheasant past like 40 yards. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I feel like it's a disservice to the game birds, and truthfully, I just don't like shooting birds that far. So
No, fair.
yeah, a lot of stuff goes wrong. You send
Exactly.
a dog after a bird that's got legs. It's like good luck. I don't care how
Yeah.
good they are. It's such a chore to get a running rooster back in the bag.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you have a smaller dog, dealing with an angry rooster with legs. Once they
Yeah.
get to it, it's a risk.
Yeah, you know what? I actually don't worry about that at
You
all.
don't.
No, maybe because we train as much as we do. Like I, I've heard stories, people get, a dog that gets spurred and then they start killing birds and stuff like that. And if I'm sure at some point I'll encounter that, I hope not. But um, as far as like getting a rooster and getting it back, I've not had an issue with the dogs I've had at least.
Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting. So you're more worried about just trying the dog trying to catch the bird. If it's especially a pheasant on the run, you
Yeah,
know,
I don't want to shoot a bird and have it,
yeah,
shot and wounded and taken off.
lost. Yeah.
Something's gonna kill it eventually, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me feel. It doesn't sit good with me.
No,
Yeah.
we're not
Same
out
page.
there to wound birds and then make them suffer. Like it should be a quick, clean kill. Is the idea, right? And does it always happen? It's as quick as we can. But yeah, that's counter
Yep,
to that. So I get that for sure.
I miss plenty, and I've wounded plenty, and that's just human error. We're not
Hmm.
perfect, but
Yeah.
if I could do my best, I'll try and do my best.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
So I kind of want because you're fairly big into field trialing, your cockers. How does that cross into to hunting your dogs? Are there things when you hunt that you worry about with your dogs that maybe you're trialing soon or training with for a trial or testing? Or do you not worry about it? Like, how does that come into your play? I guess for both sides of it when you're trialing or when you're hunting, or do you not care?
Um, Typically, I don't care. I don't try to hunt my dogs too early. I like to get through like steadying and having them be fairly reliable. If I think they need to go hunting a couple times, like before I steady them, that's fine. But I try not to overdo it. So like once I take them out hunting, I hope at that point they really don't know any better. Like a bird in the air means sit your butt down, and the gunshot means sit and wait for your name. But it's not perfect, and I think they
Mm-hmm.
learn. Hunting is hunting, and field trialing is field trialing, and there's mostly crossover, right? Like I don't field trial. I should say when I field trial and I train for field trialing, like it's a lot more artificial. So it's like I need you to run, this course from A to B, this 30 yards, and we go find birds. Out hunting, I'm like, yeah, go have fun and find birds, and I leave a lot more of it up to them. Uh, Whereas training, trialing, like it's more of a team aspect. Like I need them to cover the ground where I want them to cover. Uh, so I think when you're talking about like a trained dog going hunting, like they're always going to be better because I got way more
Yeah.
control over them. Uh, if I need to put them in a piece of cover that I think there might be a bird, or I need to handle them on a blind or something like that, typically I already have that in the bag. I think hunting brings out a different side of them that makes them better for field trialing. Uh, I do think that they need to be a little bit independent at times and seek out cover and be tough, when it gets tough, and not give up on retrieves and stuff like that. So I think they go hand in hand, but at the same time, they're two totally different games.
Yeah. So what do you see from like you said that sometimes it's good for a field trial dog to go out hunting. Like, is that giving them kind of that that independence to attack cover a little harder because when they're hunting they kind of have to, or
Yeah,
like what is that?
I guess sometimes, not that most of them don't really need it, but it's like if they're not like absolute game wreckers, you take them out training and they're like just balls to the walls. They're kind of maybe like a little bit less confident, right? They're a nice dog, but maybe they just need a little bit of confidence. So you take them out,
Right.
drop them on the ground with an older dog, like a veteran dog, and they go follow them around, and then they find birds, and we get into birds, and then they're like, oh, this is pretty fun. I'm starting to get it, and the pieces come together slowly and slowly, and I kind of like that in a young dog. I don't want them to be too crazy out of the gate. I like them when they just kind of develop and build and build and build.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you've been making kind of a splash with with covering the Cocker Field Trials on your new podcast, which we haven't brought up yet, Cocker Chronicles, which I've listened to. I think every episode except for the most recent one. I haven't listened to yet, but it's really good so far. Even as someone not following field trials, like just listening to people talk who are extremely experienced in Cockers and spaniels in general has been great. And then you're kind of covering also the beginning of your episodes, results from trials, which is just interesting to hear the names and like, oh, that dog's in my dog's pedigree, or like they talk about different older dogs, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that dog in my dog's pedigree, or like another dog's pedigree that I've looked at. That kind of thing is pretty cool. So, what made you decide to want to do a podcast?
I don't know. I'm stupid.
Hey, I guess we are too. I mean, I get
Yeah,
it. I
fair.
100% understand what you're saying.
Yeah, no, so I think for our cocker world, like it's a really small community.
Yeah,
I mean, like our nationals, we get, close to 100 dogs entered, but like I pretty much know 90% of the cocker people out there running dogs. So,
right.
or at least I know of them, right? And I know social media helps with that, but
Hmm.
um I just felt like there's been something missing, like, just to help it grow, right? We're kind of like we're small, but we're big enough. But I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to give credit to these people that are out spending, 3, 4, 5 days a week training their dogs, uh, going and showing up to trials, winning or placing. And maybe it's the breeders that are breeding, exceptionally nice dogs and their dogs are winning. So I just thought it'd be kind of cool. And there's a lot of podcasts out there, such as yours, and like Matty Rawlinson had his, talking
Yeah,
about spaniels. And I didn't want it to be just another podcast. And I was like, well, it would be cool if we like just start talking about the results and talking about the field trial and what kind of cover they were running and maybe the weather and what did the club offer you guys, and what was it about the dog that won if you happened to see it, that day, like what did it do that stood out. So maybe somebody like yourself, right? Maybe in another year or two, you guys got your dogs and you're like, man, I really want to try a field trial. And I've been listening and hey, I think my dog does these same things. And the cover that they're talking about, like we've got some of that down the street. Maybe I could go train on that. And maybe I can call these guys who I've been hearing on there that are successful. That's a good breeder. Maybe I'll buy another puppy from that guy. And I guess I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for the cockers in general. So,
yeah. No, that's good. I mean, I think the quality of the conversations that you're having on there, that's shining because I think you're doing it for that community. I mean, I could tell that from the first episode that's where you're doing it. And it's been I've enjoyed every episode so far. So
yeah, thank
so
you.
yeah, good work. I appreciate the podcast, even as a non-trialer. Like it's super interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
So when I have those people on, like, I've been trying to pull out something from everybody. So it's like, I had Paige Sorensen on, and she's a new
mhm,
field trialer. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to talk about being new to field trials with her. And then,
yeah,
Ty Mouter was on, and we talked about puppy stakes. Like I know he likes running a lot of puppy stakes with his dogs and gearing them up and trying to find like one thing off of each of these people. Like what is something that is in their expertise, whether it's being new or veteran or a pro or an amateur playing with the pros or whatever it is, and just trying to offer somebody something, right? There's gonna be one person that can relate with that guy or gal.
yeah. No, yeah, it's been great. And yeah, the one about being new to field trials with it was a Page is maybe my favorite, just because for me it's like that's the perspective I would have. So it was super interesting.
Yep.
Um, so I got a challenge for you. We'll see if you're up to it here. So I don't trial my dogs, but I don't know if there's anyone that's more romantic about field trialing that doesn't trial than me. Because when I was a kid, my dad trialed his English pointers, and my great uncle, my dad would go with him, and they'd go out. My great uncle was a breeder of English pointers, and they'd trial around the Northwest and further. And when I'd go as a little kid with them and kind of tag along, like it seemed like the coolest thing in the world. Like I felt it was like almost like you're a cowboy mixed with just dogs and hunting. And like in my brain, it was like the coolest thing. But I never got into it as an adult. Um, Mainly because when I hunt, I think if I were to be introspective, um, I really like to be alone for the most part, outside of when I go with like my dad or my brother or Jared, really. But like, I really don't go out with a lot of people. I like solitude. I'm, even though I have a podcast, I'm fairly introverted. So meeting new people is like scary to me, and being around a bunch of people is scary to me. Like it's not something I would naturally want to go do. I'd be like, that sounds like fun. With those things known, I know part of the goal of your podcast is to get more people into it and to grow or not, to get more people into trialing. Like, how would you take someone like me? Because there's people like me out there. Like, a lot of hunters aren't naturally, oh yeah, I want to go be around a bunch of people. That's not probably why they're hunting with their dogs. Like, how would you tell someone like me, like, hey, here's why I think you would like it, or it's not as scary as all that. Like, it'd be fine. Um, how how would you convince me to do it? I guess is what
You,
I'm asking.
I think there's probably a lot of people in the trial world just like you, myself included. I'm
Yeah.
not like a naturally social person. I like talking to people, but I'm definitely not an extrovert. So, uh, I'm a competitive person, and I think just about everybody that's field trialing has to be competitive to some degree. But I'll tell you a story. Last weekend, I was in Nebraska. Okay. I talked to this guy for the last 3 or 4 years. We'd had cockers in general, and we would just bounce things off each other all the time. He just won his first open stake, and I watched this guy do everything possible to not break down in tears because all the hard work, all the
Mm.
passion, all the love for his breed of dog come to fruition, right? And I looked at him, and I was actually staying at his house, and I said, Jim, like, dude, you're a grown man, but you can let it go. It it's totally, you know, let it go. You've earned it. This is your moment, right? So,
Yeah.
and I took second place behind him, and I'm totally stoked for him. Like this cocker world, the spaniel world in general, I've never met another dog sport where people are truly like hoping for others to do well. Do I want to win? Yeah, I want to kill you. Like, don't get me wrong. I want to go there and make you look stupid. But if you show up and you beat me, or you need help, or somebody can help me, like that community is awesome. So watching this guy break down, to me, it exuded all the passion he had been putting into his dog for the last 2.5, 3 years. Because I think she's maybe almost 3 years old now. Um, for him to have it all come together, like that moment right there, you can't beat that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what is the entry point for people to get into field trials if they're interested? Like, where would you direct someone? If I called you today and said, Jeff, just like, where should I start? What would you tell someone?
Yeah, I mean that's really difficult. For me personally, I was able to get into a group that was really close to me. Um, After I bought my first cocker, I started looking up, field trial people, training groups, and they pointed me towards a group that's, 20 minutes from my house. They meet up every weekend. So I think if you could find a group of people that are training, maybe it's for hunt tests, maybe it's for field trials. I think it's like the most beneficial thing if you could go out and they can see your dog firsthand. Because I could call you and you could tell me, "Oh, my dog runs awesome from gun to gun. He's a hell on wheels, and he puts up birds, and he can find birds." And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, all you got to do is this." And then you do it, and you're like, "Jeff's full of it. He told me to do this, and it didn't work." So, like, don't trust what you can just, don't trust everybody just on what they say. Like being out with a group and having somebody who's had success be able to say, Matt, yeah, dude, this is a super nice dog. You should definitely, start here, right?
Right, right.
It's such a tough question, right? Like you might ask me the same question as 10 other guys, and you guys might all think you're at the same spot. There might be 10 different answers. So find a group, find some people that can see you in person. I think that's the best way to start.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And the people are out there. You just might not know it. Like to your point, kind of earlier, there's a lot of folks that just aren't out there broadcasting it, right? But just people. I ran across a guy in my neighborhood who's like, "Is that a Springer?" Yeah, and I have one too, and it's like from the same breeder. You know what I mean? Like
That's
oh, he's like,
cool.
"Can I trial?" Like, oh, well, geez, you live 2 blocks from me. Like, I never would have thought because
Yeah.
it seems like a small community. I'm like, oh, no one lives near me that does this, but
Do you remember his name?
oh, I'll have to tell you later. I can't remember now. I have to go. Uh,
I was trying to
I have
think
to
that.
look up our text. Every once in a while we text back and forth, but he's more
Yeah,
trialing than hunting. I do a lot more hunting than trialing, but every once in a while we can touch base with each other.
cool.
Yeah. Well, great. Jared, did you have any other questions for Jeff?
No, I think we nailed everything we were wanted to talk about.
Great. Jeff, was there anything you want to talk about that we didn't get to?
Yeah, I want to know why you guys started a podcast.
Man. Well,
That's
Jared
pretty
and
simple.
was that Jared?
I said that's pretty simple because there was no Flushing podcasts.
That's true.
That
But
was
like,
basically it.
if we talk about our dynamic as friends, like you and I have been friends for a while. We talked about this a little bit before, but like for almost 20 years. And whenever we're together, our wives are best friends. And so whenever we're all together, Jared and I just always talked hunting. Like that's like we both get our hunting talk out when we're together. And I think Jared for a while, you were like, we should start a podcast. And I was like, I'm never doing that, Jared. We're never doing that. And he was like, we should do it. And one day I made a logo. It's a logo we have now for our podcast. I'm like, well, if we did, oh no, we kicked around names, Jared, and then we're go back and forth on names. And I think I said like, go flush yourself. And you're like, yeah, that's it. We should do it. I'm like, dang, I do like that name. And then I
Yeah.
made a logo for it, and I'm like, well, this is the logo we would use if we did it. And I think it was pretty much in stone at that point that was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, but to Jared's
Oh,
point, yeah, there's so many upland podcasts out there, but there wasn't any for flushing dogs, and he and I love our flushing breeds from the different ones we've had, labs and chessies, and I've had the one cocker and now springers, and we really wanted to dedicate a podcast just to flushing dogs and just hunting with flushing dogs and talking about what that's like in that lifestyle. Because like I don't know about you guys, but I know Jared. Well, I know Jared felt this, but like we listen to the other podcasts that have a wider spectrum of breeds and things they cover. But whenever they'd have that one about a cocker or a lab, I would like listen to that one twice, right? So
yeah, I'm the same way. And you're probably like me, where doing a podcast on flushing dogs really puts you in a hole of very. That's a small group, right? Compared
Yeah.
to hunting dogs, upland hunting, right? So,
oh
uh,
yeah.
people, oh, you should do springers and cockers. I'm not doing this for views. I'm doing this purely for
Yeah.
cockers. Like
Yeah.
that's my only care right now is about bettering the cocker breed. So
That's awesome. No, that's great, and that's what makes it. I think that's what makes your podcast, like everyone listening to so far, has been great because you are focusing on something that you're focusing on something you want to because you want to, not because it's like, well, I could get more audience if I broaden it to springers and whatever,
yeah,
Yeah, we're a subsection of a subsection of a subsection of a subsection of a hobby. Um,
yep,
both of us, and you're one more below us because we kept it just
yeah,
to flush breeds, and you might want a couple. You went to spaniels and then just cockers, um, so yeah, no, it's good though. It's fun and it's a small little group of people, but it's good. It's a good group of people.
yeah. No, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I came across your podcast one day and I was like, oh, that's a pretty funny name. I like that. So little play
Yeah,
on words of sorts.
yeah, we couldn't say no to that name once it was out there in the ether. That was going to be the name, I think, right, Jared?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I think you said the name, and I had an Instagram page like within like 10 minutes.
Oh, I didn't even know you did that, but yeah,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
you nailed it down.
I
Nice.
thought of making a podcast called "Make Cockers Great Again," and then I was like, you know what? That's way too political.
That's fair.
Yeah, maybe in the future that'd be funny. Right now, yeah, it's
Yeah,
too
probably
a
not so
little too
probably a
hot
bad time.
topic.
Yeah,
But that's maybe yeah. That's kind of what you're trying to do though. So that's awesome.
yeah. It was meaningful.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
But
Well, great. Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we'll have to have you on again sometime. Maybe during next hunting season, and kind of see where the season takes you over to our side of the state, and what you've been finding.
yeah, sounds good, man. I'd like that.
Thanks for listening to the Go Flush Yourself podcast. You can continue the conversation on our Discord server. The link is in the podcast description. You can also follow along with Matt and Jared on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to support the podcast, you can subscribe to the Go Flush Yourself on Patreon for the easy monthly cost of only $2. You can also check out our shop and pick up a Go Flush Yourself sticker, shirt, or other merchandise. All links are in the podcast description.